Welcome to Love and Relo, everybody. This is the voice of the relocation. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I have a fun show for you today. A good friend of mine stopping by the program, and we're going to take your questions, talk a little bit about the history of the household goods industry, kind of where we were, where we are, and where we're going. A good friend of mine, Roger Sorhagen, Vice President, National Account Sales at Siracusa Allied Van Lines. As you all come in, we're going to wait for you to all filter in. I got some folks here on Facebook checking in. I got people on LinkedIn coming in. We're going to see everybody here. Make sure as you're coming in that you're hitting that heart button. That's kind of our thing nowadays. Hit that button there and let me know that you're watching. Waiting for us to go live. Also want to go ahead and shout out our sponsor for the day. Also from our Move for Hunger telethon that we did that raised $5,100. Our sponsor today is Victory Packaging. Victory Packaging has more than 35 warehouses across the United States and Canada dedicated to supplying the moving and storage industry. Victory Packaging is the only true national distributor offering driver pickup throughout North America, single accounting system and billing, and over 2 million square feet of product availability for our customers as we ramp up our business and prepare for a post-COVID world. Victory Packaging, your choice for total cost savings. All right. Thank you, Eric Scorzelli and Victory Packaging. And without further ado, I'm going to hop in here to the LinkedIn. I'm going to see who's watching us. Again, let me know where you're at, what company you're with, where in the world you are. Give me the weather, Jamie. Let me know what's going on. And I'm going to bring our guest on the line here, Roger Sorhagen. How are you, Roger?
Good, Ben. Thank you so much for having me today. This is awesome.
Isn't this fun, man? So where in the world are you?
So I am in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, which is in beautiful Bucks County, Pennsylvania, not too far from Philadelphia, not too far from New York and New Jersey. And it is finally a gorgeous day here in Pennsylvania. Very, very nice.
Has spring officially sprung in Pennsylvania?
We did have snow on Mother's Day, which is always amazing.
Same.
But nonetheless, it's a beautiful day. And listen, as long as we're well and healthy, it's a great day. We have a lot to be thankful for.
Amen, brother. We got folks checking in here on LinkedIn. Let's go ahead and shout some people out. Guy Lambert, hello there. GQ, I'm assuming he's talking to you, Roger. Stands for Gentleman's Quarterly. Did you know that GQ stands for Gentleman's Quarterly, and it is named after the first editor whose last name was Gentleman?
Nice. I did not know that.
Mena Elsafori, good morning from Dubai. Hey, Mena. Alan King, hi, Ben. Tuning in from Dusseldorf, Germany. Dusseldorf, home of the doozy. Jeff Horn, hi from New York City. Sylvia Ehrlich, hi, Ben and Roger from Intrepid Relocation, New York. Eric Scorzelli. Eric Scorzelli, our host, hello from Woodstock, sneaking a listen during some online training. Hey, Eric, don't just listen. Buy some boxes. Jennifer Anderson. Hi, Ben and Roger. Hello from Long Island. I love Jennifer's name because when I say it really fast, it sounds like Jennifer Aniston, and people get so excited that she's watching. Lynn Greenberg. Hi from New York. Pivot App. Hey, Lynn. And let's see who's checking in here on the book. Jamie Massler. Hi, Ben and Roger. Cheers from cloudy and cool Mississippi. And we might start taking bets on the weather in Mississippi. Brian Rivers, First Tech is in the house from rainy California. Let's see here. Lawrence Labby, here we are. Jamie Massler, lived in Warminster, Pennsylvania for 8 years. How far is Warminster from you, Roger?
Not that far at all. Not that far at all. Yep, just
not far is an acceptable answer.
Yeah.
Janet Turner, her gents. Her gents. We are her gents. Sunny, Central Florida checking in. Sorrento in the house. Mark Gray, hello from Atlanta.
Hey, Mark.
Mark Gray's always looking for good national account salespeople. You're in the right place, Mark. Steve Miser, ARPAN driver, Alexandria, Virginia. There you go.
Hey, Steve. I give a big shout out to every single guy that's sitting behind a steering wheel and punching gears and taking care of not only the household goods industry, but bringing to America what we've needed every single day. And I want to give you the recognition that most drivers have never gotten, and you always should get, because you guys are amazing. What you deal with every day, whether you're hauling freight or household goods, my hat's off to you. I salute you.
Same. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate you keeping it moving out there. Steve, if you're watching right now and it's safe to do so, please let us know how PPE is affecting your ability to service transferees, corporate, military, COD. I want to know what you're seeing out there. I've heard a lot of drivers throw some things out there, so I want to hear from a driver what's going on from a PPE standpoint out in the field. Janet Turner, hey. Victoria McCullough, hi, Ben and Roger. Jason Rollins, Express checking in from Foxborough, Mass. We could do this for a while. Keep them coming. I want to know also if you have any questions about household goods or relocation or household goods relocation policies. Roger and I are going to get into all that. Also wanted to do a couple of things, make a couple announcements. One, tomorrow is the Worldwide ERC Road to Recovery Happy Hour. So it's a 2-day conference in lieu of their typical America's Mobility Conference. And I actually will be hosting a happy hour in conjunction with a lot of other YP40s. And I think right now we have like 100 attendees, and you can still register for it. And you do not necessarily need to be a Worldwide ERC member. You can just email Heidi. If you got the email, you can get into the happy hour. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Great way to connect with people, see and be seen, have a drink, and have some fun. The other thing I want to announce is that Jana Masick and myself are hosting a networking lunch for anybody that is unemployed or in transition between jobs, whatever you want to call it. If you're looking for a job and you want to get your LinkedIn game on point and you want to get your resume looking good online and your personal branding there, and learn how to network with people and become a thought leader in the industry so that you can market yourself and get that next job and next opportunity, please go ahead and sign up for that. It is there's a post that I made about that as well, or you can go to Jana's profile as well. And then lastly, we do have a book. We do have a book for the month of May that we're going to be doing a book club on. Sorry, Roger, you got to sit through the announcements. And
That's fine. That's fine.
I know. You were worried about time,
I'm
right?
watching my battery drop here.
Well, why don't you plug that thing in, man?
Hey, listen, besides, I've got like calls on appointments with all your national accounts, like coming right up at 4:45. So
I'm sorry you got to bump them, but the good news is they're still going to be dissatisfied when you call them later. Okay, so don't even worry about it. I'm sure you'll have a field day. The last thing. No, seriously, no. The last thing is book of the month is Lead Like an Ally. I don't have my copy here; it's upstairs by my bed. I've been reading it, but Lead Like an Ally. It's about how men can practice allyship in the workplace, and it's going to be great. We're going to talk more about it, but that is going to be we're going to do a book club on Monday, May 25th, with the author Julie Kratz here on May 26th to discuss the book. So please go out and buy that book. It's called Lead Like an Ally. You can find it on Amazon. It's a quick read and very helpful. So anyway, that's a lot of the housekeeping. But Roger, I want to ask you, man, I hadn't seen you in a while. This is about the time of year we'd be bumping into each other in at ERC or something. How you been, man?
I'm doing good, just like everybody else is, doing the best we can, trying to get used to this new way of life. And I think the last time I saw you, we were at the ISM, or it was the SHRM or ERC.
I think it might have been ISM in Houston. Well, we spent some time in Houston. Gosh, was that March Madness or something? Did we watch the final game of the year? It was Virginia against Texas Tech, and we were in Houston, and that was fun.
It was fun.
Are we ever going to have conferences like that again?
Ben, I think the key to this whole thing, and I posted something yesterday, is come on, pharma sector. We need and I have great faith in the pharmaceutical sector that they will find a vaccine for this. And I really think that I know this is the new normal, but I'm really hoping and praying, like everybody else, that it's going to change back to something similar to what it was, and that'll be through a vaccine. And until then, I think we're just going to have to get used to how we're doing it now, which is really, really different, especially from, trying to do the sales, corporate sales, this way has been very, very challenging, especially for, some Jurassic people like you.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, you're about to call all my national accounts, but I'm over here video chatting with them. I mean, who do you think's going to win that battle? Dang it. All right. So Roger, here we are in COVID, right? And we're I don't know about you, but I'm sheltering in place right now. I'm actually supposed to go back in the office on Monday, May 18th.
Wow.
Roger, I'm going to ask you a crazy question. What have you traded for toilet paper?
So this will blow your mind. So the neighborhood that I live in, it's a very close neighborhood, and a lot of the people have family who left New York at the end of February, the beginning of March, and some of the homes, have 5, 6, 7 people, children and family that have come to quarantine here in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. And it was just in a simple conversation was, geez, we're kind of running low on toilet paper. And I happened to be out at Costco and saw a couple of great big toilet paper packages and grabbed one. So I just dropped it off in their driveway, and I texted my buddy Joe, and I said, Joe, there's a present for you out, in your driveway by the garage. And next thing I know, my doorbell rang about 10 minutes later, and there was a great bottle of Sterling, Chimney Rock Cabernet, and a great big bottle of Woodford Reserve Bourbon. So wow. I'm thinking to myself, I guess this is how cryptocurrency started, because it's like,
yeah, how much Woodford coin do you have? Yeah, and how much toilet paper will it buy?
Exactly. So it was, so toilet paper definitely has got a price on it now, as far as I'm concerned.
What do you think's going to happen with the retail sector? Let's say, I mean, we're talking about going into retailers, we're talking about conferences and things. I mean, what do you think the impact is going to be from this on the retail sector?
Ben, I think that I think we've all seen how fragile retail was becoming, even before this, and how retail.
You mean like brick and mortar retailers, right? Like big box kind of thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And they were suffering previous to this, and I just think this is like, unfortunately, almost like a perfect storm, and not a good thing for them. So I think
you're seeing some of them adapt, though. I mean, you're seeing like Walmart is getting really aggressive. I mean, talk about toilet paper. Walmart was the first people I knew that came back with toilet paper, and then they were doing the the pickup and everything like that. I mean, so you're seeing some of them adapt.
Yeah, and I think you'll continue to see those those warehouse operations like Walmart and Costco. Certainly, or BJ's are going to adapt and continue to be there. But I think some of those other retail stores that we've seen have really taken a hit this past month, and those profits and loss of sales are going to really show up later on.
When we talk about the transformation that retail is going through right now, and brick and mortar stores are going through right now, and how they're reinventing themselves, and they're being forced to, and all the, first it was e-commerce, and now it's like, okay, we're going to do the pickup, the drive there and pick up our order. I know that my wife would stay up till midnight a couple of these weekends to put in her order at Kroger to make sure that a week later she was going to have a bunch of groceries that were going to be just put in the trunk of the car. You look at what that's going through now, and you kind of like you draw a parallel to the mobility industry and to relocation and household goods providers. You think back, and I mean, you've been around long enough to see a lot of phases, and transformation in the industry. Can you kind of take us through kind of what you've seen over the years, and kind of the past and through the present and into the future, maybe? I mean, I know it's a big question, and But I'd love to hear kind of like, when did you start in the household goods industry, and kind of describe for us the climate then?
Well, it was right around when the wheel was developed, Ben.
Yeah,
No, but
that's how you
but
got into horses, right, Roger?
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But seriously, I was born into the business, into a family business, and the amazing thing about household goods transportation is, I've always had a passion for it, and over the years, you know, the household goods moving and storage business has been through tremendous ups and downs. But one way or another, moving and storage, household goods providers have always, one way or another, adapted to the demands of the economy, to the changes that were needed, and have always been there and have been versatile enough to survive through, just about everything and anything. And I don't think that COVID is any different. I think the household goods industry will continue to, move forward and continue to be there. I think the challenges are something that owners of moving and storage companies, van lines, have always faced tremendous challenges, and drivers have faced those same challenges. But to give you, did I lose you? I can't hear you. To give you just a short capsule is.
Sorry, my mute was on. I was trying to talk. I was trying to interject here, and I still
Okay.
don't know how to use my microphone after all these episodes.
Oh,
No, what I was trying to say was, back in the day when you got into it, what was like the first major change that you remember happening, where people kind of looked around and were like, "Oh crap, our cheese is moving right now." Like what?
right. Well,
What?
look, one of the biggest things, without a doubt, that changed this industry was deregulation. And that happened, I forget the date, but it was like the last thing that Jimmy Carter did when he left office was deregulate all the transportation industries. And we saw that change take place not only in trucking, but in airlines, in every mode of transportation. ICC rights, I remember at a time, ICC rights were worth, literally millions and millions of dollars.
And so for the layperson out there, ICC, Interstate Commerce Commission, is that correct?
Correct, correct. Interstate
And,
Commerce Commission rights were rights that literally needed to be earned. And in order to get ICC rights, you needed to do something called to have shipper support. So, for example, if you wanted to transport household goods from New York to Florida, you needed to go to national accounts and prove to the Interstate Commerce Commission through an Interstate Commerce Commission attorney that you had a need and you had revenue in order to support getting those rights. So,
that's so funny, because in some states that burden still exists, and Pennsylvania is one of those states, I believe. Kentucky, South Carolina. I've actually testified I'm going to just tell a really quick story. When I got this job at university, I went through the car wash, of interviews, and the whole day. And the last question, we were walking out of the conference room, smiling, shaking hands, everything was all good. And then the last question my boss asked me was like, "Hey, what's this court case down in South Carolina about?" And I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, you were in court there in South Carolina." I was like, "Oh, I was deposed
right,
by South Carolina, the state of South Carolina, because somebody was trying to get their transportation authority, and they needed me as a client, back when I ran a move management company, to vouch for the necessity of a mover, an additional mover in South Carolina." This was a North Carolina company that wanted to also get South Carolina authority, intra-state South Carolina authority. And I guess my name was on some court document. And so as they did their background check and diligence on me, it came up, and I didn't even realize that I was on the record like that. And he said to me, "Well, why'd you do that?" And I said, "Well, why not? I mean, they needed help, and I'd gotten authority in several states before I flew out to California and sat for the exam to get the California, authority too. So I know what a rigmarole it was. So I just helped them out. But
So
it's funny. Some states are still operating by that same type of a
yes,
threshold.
yeah, and those are the regulated states. But you can imagine freight companies, van lines. Really that the the inception of van lines really was bringing together agents who had authority. So agents that had authority joined together, hence the birth of van lines. And those ICC rights were worth big money at the time.
And
So
those are kind of like how taxi cab medallions in New York City. I mean, if anybody's familiar, there was a time when taxi cab medallions in New York City were $1 million, and
exactly,
then they were $500,000. And then, like, as of like 5 years ago, they were like a couple hundred grand. And now they're not worth the metal they're printed on because of Uber,
exactly,
right?
exactly. So deregulation. I mean, I remember the days when there were no discounts, Ben. If you can imagine that, no discounts on household goods, fuel surcharges, no discounts at all. And I remember
No discounts. That's like trading wood for reserve for toilet paper.
yeah, there you go. No discounts at all. And then gradually, there were line haul discounts, and then we saw, them go to bottom line discounts.
Can you imagine that? I just want to go back to this whole no discount thing because old timers always talk about this. Back in my day, there was no discounts, right?
Do I
And
sound like that? Do I sound like, oh,
no,
back
I
in my
love
day?
it. This is why you're on the
No.
show, Raj. Okay, this is why you're on the show. No, but I love it because I mean, if you think about it now, I mean, that's literally 2 to 3 times more revenue per shipment than what is being charged now. If you have a
Absolutely.
0% discount compared to the discounts that are around now, you were paying 2 to 3 times more adjusted. Forget inflation, take inflation out, and that's mind boggling.
Yeah, and it really was. And it was a very interesting time because, certainly the amount of mobility that this country had was completely different, in scale to what's going on now. But when deregulation happened and we started to see the discounts, we started to see companies either adapt to that consolidation. I know your previous guest. I remember. I go back to. I know Bill Grable was on with you before. I have tremendous respect for the Grable
I thought
family.
you were going to tell me he was your packer or something.
No, no, but I remember when they were the largest Beacons van line agency.
Oh, they weren't even independent back then. They
No,
were
no, correct.
an agent.
So yeah, so I've seen so many changes over the years, and certainly you know seen the industry go through a lot of turbulence. But at the
We've
end of
got
the day,
we got a bunch of people commenting right now on LinkedIn and Facebook,
yeah,
and there's just some really good comments. And
okay.
before people get bored because I don't read their name, I want to read them and I want to go through these things. Okay, but before I do, I have one question: was there a driver shortage back then?
You know what? There was less volume to be serviced then, and good drivers were very, very hard to find. There was definitely the air of independence, wanting to do their own business, buy their own trucks, be their own entrepreneurs. That was very, very strong, and there was a lot of money to be made in it. But good drivers, quality operators were always very hard to have. Always good.
So that's interesting because some people would argue that the lack of money in this business have driven drivers out of the business. But you're saying that drivers were a problem, finding drivers were a problem back then as well. Interesting.
Quality.
I'm gonna read some comments here. Mark Moose, discounts are a race to the bottom. Yeah. I think you see that in our business and in the RMC business. When people, I mean, in any service provider, right? I mean, if I have a piece of business and Roger calls you this afternoon after we get done with the show, it says, well, hey, I can undercut Ben by a percentage point. You take that phone call, right? Even though Roger's, selling the same truck as me, you take that phone call. So I get it. And that's all it is, people. I just want you to know that. Paula Holloway says Roger is no
Hey,
old time.
Paula.
She says Roger is no old timer. So somebody's sticking
thank you,
up for
Paula. That's so nice.
Isn't that? Simon John says, Roger, I'm assuming that you have a team of salespeople under you. How are you keeping them motivated? And also, how are they maintaining contact with corporate clients? And what success are they having?
So that's a great question. And I think in today's environment right now, under this quarantine, I'm encouraging salespeople and anybody to do with any type of sale in this industry is very, very low pressure, because everything is very, very fluid right now, and global mobility people have their hands full with dealing with their own problems. So I think the posture today for salespeople, and this is what I'm really trying to get across, is to keep in touch, be there, be supportive, and be very, very low key, because there's a high sensitivity to pressure out there right now. And this kind of sales is never pressure anyway.
Right. It's all relationships anyway.
Yeah.
The good news is, in this environment, relationships are more important than ever. I mean, people, just from a sheer humanity standpoint, right?
Exactly.
We all just miss people so much that, sometimes they just talk to salespeople now. They just have somebody to talk to, it's like, hey guys, if you're watching this right now, please hit that heart button as well. Speaking of just missing people, where is that? Hit that little heart button. Want to see y'all represent that. Let Roger know you're out there as well. He misses y'all too.
I do. I miss the conferences. I miss getting on planes. I just hit 1 million miles this past year, 2019, with United Airlines. Okay, lifetime 1 million miler, and now I can't get on the
plane. And then you quit. Mic drop. Mark Moose says, "Don't worry, Ben will bail you out. Free Ben if you ended up going to jail in South Carolina." Brian Loud, hello from Napa, California. Nice job on this moving subject. Mark Moose, hi from Switzerland. Francine Drusty, hi Ben and Roger. Edwin, okay, here's a good one. Ed Cohen.
Hi Ed.
Have you done? Go ahead. What do you say, Raj?
I said, hi Ed. How are you? How's San Diego?
Ed always tells us how San Diego is. Let me tell you, it's staying classy. Ed Cohen says, have you done a cigar bar scene anywhere?
Yes, I have. And I did one right in my driveway. I couldn't help myself anymore. It was a walk and scotch that ended up, of course, 10 feet distance, and then some time in the driveway with some cigars and more scotch.
We had a nice cigar at ISM out in that patio area by ourselves, just catching up. You were telling me about your family. Yeah, those are the moments I miss so much, just that camaraderie. That's literally the reason I did this show, is because of moments like that where you're just connecting with people on a personal level. And honestly, I didn't know what was going to happen, but the fact that COVID hit and we're all at home and it's conference season and we're not able to get together and we miss each other. I mean, people have just I
want to just real quick about that, and we can go back to how household goods were. But I was recently on the New Jersey Relocation Council virtual seminar webinar, along with the Delaware Valley Relocation Council and the Portland Relocation Council. And I got to tell you, the presidents of those organizations, Ron Laban for New Jersey, Debbie Conby for Portland Relocation Council, as well as Jack from Stryker at the Delaware Valley Relocation Council. Those are great webinars and really, really needed right now. So I'm looking forward to the ERC one tomorrow.
Yeah, and we actually have Jack. On Thursday here this week on Love and Reload. Jack Jampel.
Yeah, and I love Jack. I love
Yeah,
him.
Jack's good people.
Yeah. But
Imagine if I said he
back,
wasn't right before he came
yeah. But back to
Really,
you.
really, really quick though,
Yeah.
before we get on there, John Zilka, friend of the show, president NRI Relocation, also good person. John says NRI Relo from Illinois. Ben's Ray Dunn coffee mug product placement for the win. I don't know if this is Ray Dunn. Is it
Nice.
Ray Dunn? I just know it's Target, so you know that's all that is.
Nice.
Drew Phillips, love the ways to connect Ben. Tim Quirk, hey gents, hey. Charles Griffin from Alabama. We got people
Hey,
from
Charlie.
Luxembourg. Audrey from Luxembourg. Hosea Botley from Seattle. John Case. Quality Moving. Lindy Chapman. I want to. We got. Oh gosh, we got. I want to talk about. I want to talk about where. So we know where household goods came from. It came from that 0% in the early 80s, late 70s. Then deregulation hit. You no longer needed that ICC permission, Interstate Commerce Commission authority to transport interstate.
Right. I mean, basically, those ICC rights were worth millions, and they really went down to, I think you can get 48 state authority now for about $200. Anybody can do it. And I think what really happened in this industry is that those ICC rights were worth so much, and they went to, it just really opened up the availability for anyone to get into, whether if you had enough money to buy a couple of jets, you could open an airline. Either an airport had to provide a gate. If you wanted to go buy a couple of trucks and be a household goods mover or a freight carrier, you could get the ICC rights to do it. So it opened up the competition and drove down the prices.
Even if you didn't want to be a carrier, and this is what we're seeing right now. We're seeing it on COD side, and we're going to start seeing it really creep into corporate, and I'll tell you how. But if you want to be a broker for $200, you can be a broker and get authority.
Yeah, and I remember, I'm going to take you way back to a company called Executive. They were the first company. They were located in Connecticut. And
Executive Relocation.
Executive Relocation. It was, this broker idea was pioneered by a guy by the name of Jim Gillis, and he was the first one that was actually awarded a brokerage license. And they were a real estate agency, but they got into household goods relocation through a brokerage license. I'm really going way back. And now, of course, you can, if you're a broker, you can broker it. You don't need a rolling asset.
Yeah, my friend Brad Hamlin used to work for them. I think they might have gotten acquired by Serva. Not sure back in the day. Yeah. But so now you got this proliferation of everybody can be a household goods carrier. It's even easier to be a broker now because you don't even need assets, right? And so here we out in the COD market. For those of you who don't understand, it's cash on delivery, but it really means residential moving. Now, when people go out to the internet, and these are your lump sum transferees, these are John and Jane Doe homeowner Googling movers in my area.
Right.
They're finding, half the time, they're finding brokers and aggregators, people that aren't even movers out there. And when we look at the number, and this is me getting on my soapbox here, so buckle up, okay? And you've heard me say this before, but I'm going to say it again because we're still doing the same ridiculous thing over and over again. So I'm going to keep saying it until we stop doing it. But we're letting our employees, we're letting our transferees go onto the internet, Google movers near me, call moving.com or 123 relocate or whatever. They sell it to 5 different moving companies, 3 of which are brokers that spent $200 to get the opportunity to put you into a dialer and call you 8 times, throw you a quote for $1,000 from New York to Texas, and then triple the price when they got your stuff on the truck. And we do this every single day when we hand people a lump sum, and we don't give them any guidance or any vetted suppliers or have any relationships with anybody in relocation. When we fail to manage relocation, we have a duty of care to provide for these employees when they're transferring jobs and moving out of state or internationally. We have a duty of care, but when we handle money, we duty of don't care anymore. And we just say, here you go, it's on you.
Yeah, then you're absolutely right. And the percentage of unhappy people that go through that experience is tremendous. And I mean, it just moves the responsibility. It's like buying an insurance policy that you see on TV. Well, it's great. You can buy it, you can pay the premiums, but like one person said to me, when you try to collect on a life insurance policy that you bought that way, it's like a treasure hunt. You'll never get it. You'll never get to the bottom of it. It'll take you forever. And the same thing happens in the household goods business because it's just outsourced, brokered again and again until who knows who's going to show up to do the job. And then what do you do?
Yeah,
So,
and you know what you do? You pay the guy to get your stuff off the truck, and you get pissed off, and then you call the cops, and the cops show up and like, "Ma'am, sir, here's a bill of lading that you signed that
right,
says you're going to move 5 cubic feet of household goods, and your price is $100." Well, if you multiply 5 times 100, because that's what you actually have, 500
right,
cubic feet of household goods, and you multiply your $100 times, 100. I mean, that's the math. And they're like, well, you signed it, and they're like, well, it's binding. Well, it's binding that you have 5 cubic feet of household goods.
right,
You told
right.
them you had a chair, they priced you a chair, and now they're charging for a whole house. My point is, it's all legal. So people think that they can hide, they think they can trust the internet and the Google reviews, and, oh, well, the Better Business Bureau would have shut them down by now, or, oh, the police are going to come and they're going to defend me. No, these people are actually technically operating by the letter of the law, if not the spirit, the letter of the law. You have no recourse. And then, God forbid, you actually do sue them, or your best bet is to call Eyewitness News to come out there and track these guys down. Then they just shut down ABC Moving Company and Stand Up, DEF Moving Company, and start
Exactly.
doing the same game all over again.
Exactly. And that's why, you know what, I fully understand the need, Ben, for the lump sum in corporate America. But I have been uh, pushing the idea and preaching. You can corporate America. You can, if you need to do lump sum, you can do it through a managed lump sum program where you owe it to your employees not to just turn it loose and
Right.
say here's I've dealt with companies that they give the corporate transferee the money up front. There's sometimes those transferees don't even show up for the job. They take the money and that's it. Okay, so that goes on out there also. Oh yeah, you gave me $8,000 to move myself. I decided I'm not going to take the job anymore. And then
Well, and
bang,
then you get, yeah, and then you get employees that or employers that get burned by that, and then they
exactly.
don't give the benefit out until the start date, or because the employee's not in the payroll system yet, they can't actually hand them the check yet until they start. So now the employee has to float the eight
The
thousand
money.
dollars for their
Yep.
proper move, but they don't have that kind of money in the bank or that kind of credit limit on their credit card. So they have to get a U-Haul because it's, even though they might have a $10,000 lump sum, it's all they have available in their credit card. While they're
Yeah,
also putting first and last months down on their apartment, right? They're cash
exactly.
strapped. They have a cash flow problem.
Yeah. And on top of it, if it's not a managed lump sum, the truth of the matter is, the move could be $5,000, but the corporation may be lump summing it at 12,000, and it's all grossed up anyway. So it's really a much better program to manage it through suppliers that are credible, and there's a cost savings there to the company.
Yeah, you can do budgeted moves with managed suppliers. I mean, you can do all
Exactly.
sorts of things. We've got, we got some great comments here. Brian Loud says Grable started as an allied agent. Um, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. Stephen Meyer, PPE has become, Stephen Meyer, the ARPAN driver, says PPE, personal protective equipment, has become readily available. I've always had enough for myself and currently have enough to support 20 people. As far as customers go, I haven't had any ask for extreme measures, only social distancing and extra hand washing. My customer next week would like mask holding conversations and that they would like would like masks holding conversations and at the signing of paperwork. Okay. All right.
Reasonable.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. What I'm hearing is these guys are out here in masks, and they're in, it's starting to get hot in some parts of the country. They have masks on, they have rubber gloves on. Some customers want booties. The military put out guidance a few weeks ago saying that the crew was supposed to sanitize any surfaces that they touch. Well, then the driver started freaking out because like I'm touching everything in the house.
Right.
I can't wash out. I can't wash the household goods. But then they came back and clarified and said, banisters, doorknobs, etc. But
There's no question that these new demands are going to be tough. But this industry and drivers are extremely adaptable, creative, and they'll do it. I know they will. They can reach down and do it.
Let's see here. We got some folks coming in here checking in with some comments. Mark Gray, EADS, was one of the first household goods brokers as well. Do you still need to post a performance bond as a prerequisite to getting your household goods broker's license? Yes, you do. I believe you need a $75,000 bond, which I believe costs about $5,000 to get. So you are right, Mark. You need $200 and $5,000. You are correct, Mark. Which is a lot different. I apologize.
Oh, yeah.
But far from the barrier to entry that we used to have. Mark says cigars and Plantains bourbon on me at the next AMSA convention. Mark, I will tape this, print this slide out, and hold you to it.
I'm holding you to it also, Mark.
Now, Mark does have a question, though. His Blanton's is not free. He wants to know, will we see a summer busy season this year? Roger?
I think when the things ease up, I think we're going to see volume, and I think what's going to happen is we're going to see it spread out. There will be a busy season when it opens up, but I think we're going to see it spread out a lot further into the fall and the winter. There's no question about it. And I think that's probably partly because of necessity. There just is not going to be the capacity that we usually try to fulfill. In addition, I'm very concerned about drivers that have been furloughed, owner-operators that have been furloughed, percentage drivers, hourly drivers, the whole mix of the driver makeup for moving and storage companies. How do these drivers get back into the truck after they've been furloughed? And I really think it's going to be a really, really tough thing to bring them back. I know my company did not furlough any drivers at all, which I think was a really great move because these are very, very tough professions. And once you step out of it, I don't think it's very hard to get back.
I mean, it's hard to get the guy in the seat in the first place, right? It's hard to get a guy who's clean background, no drugs, can afford a truck, in a truck, running. I mean, that is a plate that is hard to spin, right? And once you get that plate spinning, you don't want to set it down and say, hey, I'll pick you up in 3 months, because that guy's going to go off, take that truck, he's going to go haul for Walmart, he's going to make $87,000 a year hauling toilet paper, okay, and not getting out of the cab.
Never lifting a piece of furniture, bumping docks.
Bingo.
And bumping docks is certainly, a lot easier than schlepping furniture. There's no question about it. And with these additional demands on drivers, it's making a lot tougher.
Yep. Let's see here. Good question, Mark. Thank you for checking in with that. Let's see here. Jamie's got a question. Has Rogers Group utilized their trucks for alternate haul purposes? Food, farming, wholesale goods, pharmacy, shipping horses to help the supply chain?
Yeah, Jamie, that's a really great question. My company actually, which is headquartered in New Britain, Connecticut, has been operating for the past 6 weeks, maybe longer, as a FEMA warehouse, 24 hours a day, having their trucks do hospital supplies. The National Guard is on site 24 hours a day, loading, unloading trucks. So those trucks are moving needed goods, whatever that might be, to surrounding states all over the country.
Great answer there. Oded's checking in lockdown Boston, checking in from DN Van Lines here. Let's see here. My dad comes in here. Gosh, let's see what Dad has.
I tried to get my horse to hold to open up his laptop, but he's having trouble with his shoes.
How's old Bucky doing?
Bucky's doing great, thank you, Ben.
Good. My dad says, "What happens if a second wave of pandemic occurs in the fall, as some have predicted?"
Oh my God, Dan. I don't know. I guess I'll be running a show like Ben does too. But and I think the show that you've done and bringing people forward has just been amazing. Ben, really good job. Dan, you got a lot to be proud of.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Roger. That's very kind. Yeah, my dad was on the show a couple weeks ago. He did all right.
Nice.
Let's see here. We got some more questions coming in here. Oh, Jan has a subject change. Has Roger visited the Font Hill Castle in Bucks County, one of my favorite places?
Yes, I have, Janet, and it is amazing. I've actually visited it twice, and it is absolutely amazing. Great place.
Dad says you're very smart. Let's see. Dave O'Connor wants to know what's up with the Cowboys Cup. Cowboys, America's team. I mean, we are in America. We are broadcasting from America, as my European constituents have reminded me. This is a very America-centric show, which is why I have America's team here. If I were in another country, perhaps I would have another team. Thank you, Dave, for the question. Katie Linehan, hello from sunny Connecticut. Doug Powers has a question. Doug's a mover. Do you think moving will increase because of unemployment? People will hire these people. So do you think that, I guess what he's saying is, I mean, you have people that are out in the workforce. They're going to be looking for jobs. You know, you got to think it was like a 17% unemployment rate or something. We were at like 3%,
right,
3 months ago. So you got probably what was probably really like a 14% effective employable unemployed population right now. When these 14% come back into the workforce, is that going to spark relocation events for a number of them?
You know what, Ben? It's real. In my opinion, that's really hard to say. But usually, what happens, when you have a high unemployment scenario like we have now, I think corporate America gives corporate America a chance to really pick whoever they want from a big basket. And I've seen this before. We may see a paring down of policy because they don't have to compete when unemployment is really low. As it is right now, those policies have been pretty sparse compared to how it was when I look back 15 years ago, 18 years ago. Those policies were really fluffed up. So,
and that brings us to where we are today as an industry. And we say today, let's take COVID out of the mix. Let's talk about it as of 6 months ago. We were riding a 12-year, economic increase, at least if you look at the stock market as an indicator. And yet benefits were still fairly Spartan, and they never seemed to recover from the 2008 downturn. When 2008 happened, everybody said we need to have all these austerity measures and we need to kind of tighten the belt a little bit. And then things, and then the economy came back and corporate taxes were reduced from 35% to 21%. Companies had records amount of cash on their books. They were even stashing it offshore to protect it. And yet they did not reinvest in the employee experience to the same level that I think people would think they would.
Right. And then that is once you learn that you can be more frugal and have less fluff in that policy, and that's what happened. And the job will still be there and the people will still move, but it's going to be less fluff. Those things it never will come back. And just like what we're learning right now, with working from home, with virtual meetings, with all these things, I think it's very possible that we're not going to see, the same amount of people heading back to work the way they were. So corporate America is going to learn, we can do this a cheaper way. Maybe we don't need, this building, this, 20-story building. Maybe we only need 3 floors of it, and we can work from home, and we're going to save the taxes and the maintenance and God knows what else. I mean, there's millions and millions of dollars that that can be changed here.
Perhaps. I got some theories about that too, though, right? So yes, you might see these large, you could see large downtown headquarters, going away as people don't need as much, as companies don't need as much square footage as maybe they're having employees work from home 2 or 3 days a week. But at the same time, a lot of companies would say, I don't need people in the office all the time. And oh, by the way, my office density has to get cut in half now because I don't want people coughing all over each other. And I don't want to have to necessarily spend $1,800 per workstation, as Bill Grable talked about yesterday, retrofitting my current cubicle structure to make it CDC compliant with the large walls. So when I'm coughing, Roger doesn't get sick. But you still want to have people have a close proximity to the office so that when we need to come in and bring everybody together, and we need to have a town hall, or we need to have a strategy session, or we need to collaborate on something creative or on a budget issue or whatever, that we can all come together and we can sit across a conference table and we can hash things out. And if that is the case, where you only need to be in the office 2 to 3 days a week, there is a theory that I've heard on this show from some people who say, well, that means I need to be in the same metro or within like 50 or 100 miles of work, but I don't need to be within a 30-minute commute of work.
Right.
So that means I could live out in beautiful Bucks County and commute into downtown Philadelphia for my 2 days a week, but I'd still have my horse farm out in the country because I'm only living,
Absolutely.
My windshield time's the same.
Yeah, and I
Which
think
could actually facilitate relocations because so many people, for instance, don't want to move to Detroit if they have a farm. But if you could live an hour away from Detroit, you could have a farm.
Yeah, and I think this is a moving target. I think it's fluid and to be seen how it develops.
Mark Gray is saying, I'm seeing Mark Gray, who's the moving industry recruiter, is saying I'm seeing more and more candidates who originally wouldn't consider relocation for a new job now open to moving in order to secure employment.
Yeah,
that's half of the equation.
Yeah, and at this high rate of unemployment, I'm sure
that's half of the equation. You have a willingness on talent side to do what's necessary to take that job, but do you have the offer of relocation from the employer? Right,
exactly.
Takes two. Jack Jampel says here, lump sums that will never change when the company main objective is cost savings, or at least they believe they are saving money. Companies must have a culture that supports the employee experience.
And I have the utmost respect for Jack, because Jack is one of the global mobility people. There's many out there, but is really focused on the delivery of service, that it should be a great experience for the employee. And that is, Jack's leadership has brought that to the stage again and again and again. And that's what it's all about. It is about the employee experience. It's about my experience when I get my car serviced, when I go anywhere that I'm going to buy or purchase a service. I want to have a great experience. And if I don't, I'm not going back there ever.
Yeah. And Jack is right. And Jack's going to be on here Thursday. And he's going to be talking about perfecting the employee experience, right? And here, everybody that's watching this that's in managed relocation, right? And John Zilk is the one that brought that to my. He's like, we're all in the business of managed relocation, so we all need to get on the same page here about managed relocation. But if we're about managed relocation, and this is about having a company culture that supports the employee experience, Roger, you're a sales guy. I'm a sales guy. We illustrate things for a living, right? We persuade people. How do we persuade because I think it's on us, honestly. I think it's on the sales and marketing people. How do we persuade companies that it's worthwhile to perfect that employee experience?
Well, look, Ben, and you and I have had this conversation a million times. You know, part of the issue is so much of the volume in the business today is outsourced. And, when it's handed off and outsourced and brokered and outsourced again, uh, it gets diluted. The service gets diluted. There are global mobility people that really keep their thumb on that delivery of service, and they want it quality, and they demand that it be that way, and they do their own in-house services. But there's a lot that it's just turned over, and however it's serviced, that's how it is. So, that's the more diluted it is, the harder it is to get a great customer service experience. Did that answer it?
Yeah, I'm content.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, you illustrated the problem, but here's where I think we need to take that, and you're right. I don't disagree with what you said. But now, how do we beat the drum and turn the tide in the other direction? This is what I'm interested in. As a person that gets on this show every day and talks to people, I mean, this is something I'm truly passionate about, because I do believe we have the ability to impact the world that we live in, right? We are not just victims of a trend. We are part of the trend. And I think, and I've started to engage with people at other associations as well, like SHRM. I've started to engage with people in the total rewards community. I actually have an opportunity, and I actually invite anybody that's watching this right now. I have an opportunity to put together a discussion and a panel for a virtual total rewards national conference, and I want to talk about the value proposition of a managed relocation program. And anybody that's watching this, I want you to reach out to me if you want to participate in this, but it's got to be really good, because you don't get a lot of chances to tell this story where people are even going to care. So I think it's incumbent on us as service providers and people that understand and know the truth about this and what happens to employees who just go out on their own, to bring these stories forward, and almost to take the voice of the transferee. And Lindy Chapman's watching this as well, and she's big on the voice of the transferee. Take the voice of the transferee and tell these stories about what actually happens when you give somebody $2,500 and say, see me in Houston next week. I think we got to do better. We got to also take people from the legal community who can describe what is the duty of care for domestic relocation. We talk about duty of care when somebody's moving to China or India or some far-flung place that might have all sorts of cultural differences, and need immigration assistance. But what's the duty of care when you move somebody from New York to Dallas? Is there a duty of care? I think we'd say logically, well, yeah. Well, then what is that? What is that threshold? What is that burden? So I'd love to hear a legal opinion on that. So I think we have to start really reevaluating and not taking for granted that the case is obvious and that the case is self-evident, but we need to make that case. And again, my soapbox is it's going to break, I think, Roger. It's going to break. I hear it cracking under me.
I hear you.
I'm getting fired up, brother. All right, I want to get through these here because I didn't do a great job getting through the comments yesterday. We got over 40 people have been live with us on LinkedIn. You're drawing a crowd, Raj. I appreciate you.
Nice.
We had over a dozen on Facebook as well. Ed Cohen says, good show. Amy Grimm Whitson says, my young team thought COD meant Call of Duty. Chris Jepson, hi, Roger and Ben from Chicago. Mary O'Donnell, great meeting, Ben. SoCal, she did the clown face. I love the clown face. Drew Phillips, lump sums with COVID and the need to track, support our employees better. Will that still be a thing? Duty of care must be heightened now, right? Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Dave,
Ben, let me go back to what you just mentioned before about how do we get better? How do we get better? How do we get better drivers? This has been a soapbox forever and ever. How do we get better drivers? How do we improve the service? there's no question that, when you're dealing with a company that has assets, their own employees, their own trucks, packing it, loading it, and doing it as a single source, there's no question that that is going to be a great service, much better than the diluted service where it's handed off and handed off and handed off. But we need compensation for that type of service. There's no question about it. It's all tied to what is the compensation. The airlines taught us that lesson very, very well. You cannot, you're just not going to get a first class seat and pay coach. No way. And if you don't like delays and sitting at airports where there's crowds, instead of paying $300 to fly, you can go charter a jet for $30,000 and you can have the whole plane. So, and owner operators, percentage drivers, hourly employees, they need to be compensated so that we can get better quality. Yeah. And I'm on the soapbox with you.
Great. Well, it's definitely going to break then. All right. Yeah. It's already creaking over here. Jill Partika says hello from V Suites. Dave O'Connor, the aggregator is broker model, just as you described, is the opposite of Move Matcher model. Brad Laspy, hey Roger, Brad. Great hearing your perspective. We need to get back on the golf course. Yeah, I live on a golf course and they are jonesing out there. These guys aren't allowed to drive their carts, so they're out there with their little push cart, little push bag carts, and with their like their 6-pack of beer in one hand and their push cart in the other. And I'm like, that's too much for me. I can't. Oh gosh. Let's see here. Dave O'Connor says we are seeing lease dates extending further out to mid-late summer, indicating a yes for sure. Rental properties will provide a rush of later season moves. Mary O'Donnell, Jack Gimpel, the entire program starts with company culture. You're spot on. Simon Johns, do you think do you think there will be a shortage of packaging materials when the restrictions are lifted? Manufacturing must have taken a hit during these times. Eric Scorzelli, our sponsor, actually says he can answer that offline. I am curious about that, Eric, about am I going to have 1.5s when I got to pack out some houses over here?
Or we got to go to ShopRite.
Yeah. Francine says Blanton's is worth a pallet of toilet paper. You get all types. You get really like academic, and you get like, hey, I got some Blantons. You get all types.
We'll trade for toilet paper.
Here's a roll. Pour me one. Dick Scaffa, hey from sunny, cold South Jersey. Jana Masick, hi Ben and Roger. Jana. Good to see both of you today. Hey Jana, again a plug for Jana. If you are watching this right now and you are unemployed and you need a job, you need to get on the networking lunch series that Jana and I are doing starting tomorrow. We're doing a 3-week series. It's noon Eastern on Wednesday. It's all about LinkedIn. It's about personal branding. It's about networking. It's about positioning yourself as a thought leader. It's only for people that don't have a job. So you sneaky salespeople, don't try to sneak in there. Okay, it's only for people that don't have a job. All right, Roger. So get out of my meeting. We're gonna we're gonna really educate you guys, and we really want to help people. So it's free of charge, and make sure you go to Jana's page to go sign up. I also put a video out with a link as well. Francine Drusty, Janet Turner, Mena El Safori, how do you see the industry post COVID-19? Do you see any material changes to the moving industry 6 months, a year from now? This thing's a long gone, hopefully. And do you see any long lasting changes, Roger?
I think first thing, Ben and audience, if we can get a vaccine, I think things hopefully will come back to the pendulum will be somewhere in the middle. I think the challenges that face the household goods carriers and moving industries, I think there will always be new ones, but this is an industry that has gone through so many changes, and the adaptability of the owners of these companies, the van lines, the salespeople, the drivers, I think the adaptability is amazing. And, I think that the industry is a necessity. It'll continue. I think it'll change with the economics, but I think it'll always be there, and it'll continue to be a part of American life and international life.
Hope you're right. Drew says, I agree with Jack. As an RMC, we have to help infuse the EE with compliance and highest duty of care. Ron Crockett, good job as always, Ben. Jana Masick, Roger needs to show us his horses. Wild horses.
Can't drag me away. That's true.
I can't drag him away from this podcast. Francine Drusty, yes. Yeah, okay, we have her seconding that. Francine says, yes, we need to see the horses. And then Ron Martin says, hey, Roger and Ben, looking good. Ron, that's very sweet of you.
Thank you, Ron. Ron and I go way back. Thank you, Ron. Ron is a great professional.
Miss you, Ron. Raj, we have people hanging in here. 36 on LinkedIn still, 6 on Facebook. If you're watching this, everybody, give Roger an applause button down there for coming on today.
You. Thank you very much.
Really appreciate you, Roger. Is there anything you want to leave us with, the people that are watching right now?
Look, I just want to say that we, as an industry, mobility, most of us are so lucky to have the connections we have, the networking we have, and we should always be humble, and we should always be thankful for everything that we have, because so many of us have so much. And this virus has really brought to the surface how many people don't have what we have, and that we should always look at the glass as being full and be so thankful for what we have, treat each other better, deliver better and better experience, whether it's just one-on-one or we're transacting business. Be sensitive, be caring, live your life in balance, rhythm, and harmony. And like I always say, may the horse be with all of us. May the spirit of the horse be with all of us. Thank you very much, Ben. Thank all of you so much.
Thanks, Roger. I'm blessed to have you as a friend, and I love what you said there. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Tomorrow we've got a great show. We've got Victoria Messer from Berlin, Germany, coming in tomorrow. And then don't forget, Friday, we have Mobility Jeopardy. Who am I missing? Oh, and Jack on Thursday. Sorry, Jack. I already plugged you. I don't feel too bad. Victoria on Wednesday, Jack on Thursday, and Mobility Jeopardy with Nicole Barilli on Friday. Also, if you know anybody that needs a job, let them know. Jana Masick and I are doing this thing on Wednesday at noon, and this is your last chance to sign up, so please forward them that link. Hit me up if you need the link. Roger, thanks so much for being with us today. I really appreciate you. I can't wait to see you again, give you a big old hug, smoke a cigar, have a scotch with you, and tell some jokes, man.
Thank you very much, Ben, and I love what you're doing here. It's amazing. Keep it up.
Thank you. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thanks so much. Take care, everybody. Love and reload.
Bye.